which I think is more important.
Without a doubt, Roodood, we're going to get ahead right into the draft here as Anyone's Legend has first pick and will be able to pick up Rumble for themselves, a champion you don't often see, at least in game ones.
Hey, whether it's because it's banned or not, Yanni, I'm coming from the CB LOL where we pick Rumble first every single game.
True.
So that's the Brazil special coming out from Flandre here, clearly an enjoyer of some South American League of Legends, and we'll see it responded to with the Azir. The Orianna still available here if Shanks does want to take it, but this is a big denial pick from Shanks as well. We've seen Creme pilot this a couple of times, but him being able to take it away from Shanks in the mid lane is definitely worth doing.
We see NaiYou lock in at that Xin Zhao. It feels like he's doing his best work on these facilitators. Pantheon, Xin, Vi, Wukong. That's what I want to see this guy on if Top Esports is to have success in this series. But Orianna, you mentioned getting hovered. It does not have a great side lane into Azir.
No, it can be a little bit tricky, but I do think that you're able to play out those team fights, especially with the Rumble. It'll make sure that you've got some decent follow-up as well for that equalizer. Another dive jungler that's probably going to match the Xin Zhao. Obviously, with that Jarvan band, it does take you a little bit further down. Maybe we see a Vi start to be con-attended, or maybe something just a bit more frontline focused for Tarzan here. Knows he's playing up against this Xin Zhao. Don't know that there's any AD carry that is super highly prioritized in this meta that you want to take in the first round before it gets banned. So likely to see Tarzan here pick something that can carry the ball and go in.
Well, this Poppy would be a pretty solid takeaway. Could easily shut down the two members over on Top Esports. As Fengyue, it's been one of his best champions so far. Not having access to that, he hasn't really been great on things off.
Yeah, you're right. Fengyue, like you say, amazing Poppy performances so far, but not entirely confident on those other picks. And you know, we've got Top Esports here with the way they're looking to build out their composition. This is already a very good skirmish 2 versus 2. You've got a good amount of late game, that nice bridge through the early stages of this match. Sion as well to build out what is going to be a very formidable late game tank that you're going to have to try to cut through. Does mean that Hope now needs to pick something with that damage to back him up. We need that type of hyper carry to be able to be played here. Not looking for a misfortune, not particularly looking for a Corki. We're looking for something with more bolstered damage, that Jinx type champion.
Yeah, he's got the Aphelios that's available to him. Even a Kai'Sa does have the damage to be able to cut through if you get quite fed. It might not be the best game for it based on AL's squad, but looking at the second half of bans, they are worried about the misfortune going over to Top Esports. That one's going to get taken.
Yeah, and you can see here that there's some good presence of mind here from Top Esports. I'd say that Jhin ban is not quite as well presented, let's say, but the Trundle ban is really, really solid when they've got the Sion picked up. Not just because the Subjugate takes away all of your stats, but the Pillar works really well at interrupting the Unstoppable Onslaught as well. So a two-pronged approach with that ban, which will go very nicely for them. Expect them to try and ban out maybe even this Corki gets taken off the board by Anyone's Legend. Wouldn't be surprised to see that one here as they look to be banning away those prior or high priority marksmen through the early stages. Instead, it's going to be the Rakan, so getting rid of some of that playmaking potential.
We're going to see an Ashe get locked in over here for the side of Top Esports. So looking for a little bit more pick potential and some priority down in the bottom lane.
Okay.
Let's see how I'll respond.
This is Ashe Seraphine most likely here for Top Esports, and they've built an amazing teamfight composition. They're going to have an incredible frontline that's going to get sustained, hopefully by some heals. They're going to have a lot of damage from this Azir and some utility setup from the Ashe. AL's composition, though, fits into this mold of maybe being able to teamfight. Probably has a pretty strong mid to early game with this Corki getting locked in, but as we move later and later on into the game, don't know how it's going to fare in an all-out brawl. So we'll see what they pick here. I think going for something that will be more pick focused is going to help them to try and navigate this early game. If they try and make it late and try and go toe to toe with what could easily be an enchanter lock in here, they're going to struggle.
We'll see if Kael wants the Alistar. He'll get it, so the ball delivery system will be enabled for Shanks.
Show me Seraphine here, please. That's what I'm after. Just give me the Ashe Seraphine, this unplayable laning phase. Ashe Braum's okay, but it's not that massive teamfight Colossus that we're looking for to round out this composition. I think they've got enough damage, they've got enough frontline. They don't need the Braum here. It's a good answer to the Alistar, but feels like they're just, you know, they're missing out on something that they could have taken here and absolutely slammed that bot lane.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised they went with this, but we are getting Braum into 3 melees here, Roodood, but
Yeah.
I want to know your thoughts of how you anticipate the effectiveness of this Braum into the rest of AL's.
Well, they've got not a lot of projectiles to try to block. It's going to be largely stopping Hope with that unbreakable shield. Like you say, into 3 melees, it does have a good amount of prio. You'll be able to get that those concussive blows down without too much difficulty, you'd like to think. And Braum really good as well at stopping that dive. A great answer to the Alistair. If he goes in, he gets stunned. He typically has to pop ulti to get back out. Poppy as well going to find herself in that similar position. Now, the only thing that I can think is whether or not they're going to take it into the Poppy ulti in particular. So that shield may be able to block the Poppy ult itself. And we'll see if that interaction is favourable for the Braum. Because if it isn't, I don't know that I like it entirely as an answer.
I'm with you on that one. I think it could be a little difficult here. The coach is going to go give their fist bumps as we're getting ready to head on the Rift for Game 1 of this best of 3 series. Anyone's Legend, again, looking to extend their win streak to 5 straight games. Currently at 5-2, not the 4-2 you see on the bottom of your screen. Again, top esports must win territory to avoid Knight's Road. Knight's Road is not the end of the world, especially in Group Ascend. You will get at least 2 tries. We have seen some of the teams in Group Perseverance, especially LNG, be a little scary. Healthy amount of Gyos, Roodood, as it looks like everybody is ready to go. So give me a little bit of a roadmap of how you expect this early game to play out for both sides.
I'm thinking here, if I'm top esports, we chill, we farm, we get our items, we win late game. I'm thinking, as anyone's Legend, we do not chill. We, yes, farm, but we look to take some relatively early scuffles. I'm looking for this Poppy to try and make some good plays happen. Early force bomb landing onto JiaQi, not the greatest, but you can see this Ashe Braum already looking to flex a little bit, with the Ashe being able to extend their auto attack range relative to the Corki. It has a longer attack range than Hope. Would like to see a little bit of movement there down on that bot side to enable this Ashe to sort of thrive. I do like that we've got to see approach velocity, but I would have maybe liked to see Summoner Ghost taken by the Ashe down on that bot side. JiaQi there going for the barrier, so definitely probably looking for these 2 versus 2s and more focused fights.
You mentioned top esports needing to chill in the early game, but they don't really have that much chill in the early game, Roodood. They really set their sights on these early objectives, usually picking up the first 2 dragons of the game. We've seen them do good work getting early grubs as well. So I think the grubs are very valuable here because of your Azir.
They really are. Like you mentioned earlier in the draft that there's a really weak lane. Hold on, 2v2.
Okay, we're going to get the stun off onto Kael. This is good damage coming through from the top esports bot lane.
Yeah, they've got a really solid 2 versus 2 here. Braum obviously countering the Alistair. Ashe doing very well in terms of range versus the Corki. But you know, you highlighted later on, if they do get these grubs, that the Azir is going to have a very beneficial side lane versus the Orianna, where Shanks shouldn't be able to contest as easily with those minion waves up, just being able to stand up to the might of an Azir in that lane. So if they do get the grubs, expect to see some good side lane capabilities from top esports, and you can already see that actually their laning phase is not doing too badly either, with some good poke coming in from JiaQi and Hope. 369 seems to be doing just fine versus Flandre up on this top side, and with that in mind, you'd like to think that they can move whichever pieces they like to those grubs. JiaQi though.
Oh, JiaQi was left alone for the moment. He's going to get tagged up, flash over the wall. Hope will follow. That barrier will fall, and so will JiaQi. It's first blood for Hope.
That's a really criminal death there by JiaQi. He knows his support's gone to mid lane. You can't step up into the face of an Alistair. The fact that Kael doesn't even have to burn flash to find that just means that this Ashe is now going to be a sitting duck for the remainder of this laning phase. Now Tarzan walks up top.
I think 369 should be able to walk out of here without too much of an issue, but speaking of issues, JiaQi dying there, that's been one of his big issues. Highest average deaths for 80 carries. 3.8 a game, and he gets picked off so often.
Yeah, and this is a really big pinch point now for top esports as NaiYou snuck in.
Yeah, Flandre did not recognize that NaiYou could be there. Boom. And 369 will pick up the kill.
Yeah, the decimating smash enough there, gets a full channel as he starts it before that third prong of NaiYou's knockup. A good response in the top lane there. Obviously a gank attempted by Tarzan, not quite able to make anything happen. NaiYou in the flip side flashes for flashes with his lane opponent and does manage to pick up that kill. Really good start in the top side, but obviously clouded by the fact that this bot lane is going to be very difficult.
Creme slides in, looking for a little bit of poke there, and it's going off pretty well. But this is something that we talked about in the pregame. You know, if NaiYou is able to make these plays happen and play these facilitator champions and kind of outpath Tarzan a bit, top esports can win the series.
They can indeed, and I will, as we see these good trades happening down on this bot side, point out the early build path that we got to see from Hope. He has gone for the no damage build on Corki thus far, but Tarzan's already here. No flash.
Yeah, they spotted him, but it's far too late. JiaQi falling again to Hope.
Yeah, 2v2, it might not be bad when the Corki's got a dagger, a tier, and a call. As soon as the jungler starts to come in, though, that 3v2 is not looking good for you. And yeah, JiaQi's picked himself up those tier 2 boots nice and early, but I don't think this lane is going to get any better before a good long time here. Yanni, it's definitely not the position that top esports would have liked to have found themselves in. Really good that Kael had a little bit of heads up there. As long as he flashes onto the Ashe, there's no way for her to get to safety. And really, like we said, as soon as this wave starts crashing out, it's every single time that we can just look to rinse and repeat with no flash.
We saw similar struggles when the top esports bot lane played up against the Viper and On in their last series. They were able to win in spite of that. Top esports is going to need another performance similar to that today. Already seeing objectives up. That dragon, 2 minutes till these grubs, but multiple members up in this top side right now looking for this top grab.
Yeah, and it looks like AL are the ones in position for it first, as Fengyue has made his way up. A little level advantage for the Brawn. Tarzan going to look to try and snipe this one. Oh.
All right, he'll get it, and he'll flash away. So they get the summoner out, but no worse for wear otherwise.
The reverse blabber there gets the crab and then flashes.
Hang on.
Good engagement.
Looking for Creme. He'll use the Emperor's Divide to try to get away, but now it's cut off from the rest of the squad. Fengyue is in a really weird spot, but he's Braum, so he'll be just fine.
Yeah, and I mean, Creme there, very, very small thing, but sidesteps the Orianna Q. I feel like Shanks could have ripped the shockwave had that have connected, and now actually Tarzan looking
Tarzan's
6 to 5.
Yeah, because of that crab, he's a level up. NaiYou says, I'll knock you up, but I'm in a little bit of trouble. My team can't get to me. And the Keeper's Verdict, plus some more auto attacks get the job done. The AL jungler.
Tunneler picked up for Tarzan already, so he's a pretty strong poppy, especially with that level 6. Really good combo, uses the Q to slow, then ulti, so that the next Q procs. With Flandre now going all in topside, there's a support on their way.
Yeah, 369 has no ultimate either, so he's in a bit of a weird spot here. As long as Flandre doesn't get a little too close, this should be a death for 369. Knockups are there. With a turn? Okay, good interrupt there on the decimating smash. Means that Flandre will pick this one up.
Okay, really well played by AL on this top side, but top esports being incredibly lazy with some of these deaths. JiaQi with too early that really can't be forgiven. That death by 369 as well. You just saw your jungler get killed inside his blue buff. You can't be stepping up like that. And now Fengyue tanking up Hope, almost falls as well. Lots of just really bad mistakes by top esports early on, and for a team that are, as we said, Yanni, on this outside of the top 4 looking in. Yes, AL are a strong team in our top 4, but this is really, really just fundamental mistakes that they can't afford to be making.
Yeah, and this team was able to beat BLG. Obviously, BLG have their own problems going on right now, but BLG are still an excellent team, as AL is as well. It just the top esports early game has really not been there this time around. You know, able to leave Hope alone means that Kael can make that impact up top, get Tarzan that lead to go kill NaiYou. It's the domino effect.
It is, and you know, we talked about the slightly poverty build that Hope had to go for early on, but now he's finished off that Sheen, that half-bound axe. He's working well on his way towards that Trinity Force, and we look at what JiaQi has in response. It's a boatload of attack speed and one single longsword to go alongside. It's the Corki now very happy in these 1 versus 1 situations where he can probably just jump on JiaQi at will and try and make this Ashe fearful for her life. And again, anyone's legend, I feel like they needed this with their composition. If we get to the super late game, I do expect that Creme and JiaQi would have been able to have a really solid team fight, and I do still think that the 5v5s at parity for top esports will be favourable. But this lead that the Anyone's legend have got thus far bodes well.
Top esports just have to stop the bleeding. Let's check in on these objectives. They're both still up right now. Hold on. We're going to see JiaQi get dove. Well, flash away, looking for a bit of a turn here, but there's nobody else around. All of his teammates are on the top side of the map, so he'll be content to rifle away onto Kael. They're going to flash after him as well. It's going to be the Glacial Fissure taking him down, and now JiaQi with the barrier for the big one, but Hope goes in and gets the kill. Oh, Fengyue is going to end up picking 2 kills, I'm sure. It's a double kill for the Brom support.
Yeah, I mean, if Tarzan got there just a little bit sooner, I think if Hope flashed upwards and dodged a Q there, he's actually able to get out of that situation. Now scooping in mid.
Yeah, Emperor's Divide right on top of Shanks, and NaiYou will not be denied.
Really solid play there by Creme once again. Knows that there's no flash on the Ori, or maybe just that expecting Shanks to have used it, but the fact that they find the kill there, really solid stuff. And again, it's Creme stepping up for top esports, shuffles the Orianna into their jungle. A really common mistake that you'll see Azias do is push them further away from their turret, even though that's actually safe when you're pushing them away from your jungler. Creme doesn't make that mistake though, shuffles them right on into the waiting arms of NaiYou, who's able to flash and take down the Clockwork windups.
Good presence of mind. Let's take a look at this replay again. There was a good flash from JiaQi, and it made things a little easier.
Yeah, it was, and it does mean that the chase down can come through here. Approach velocity working overtime. Good predict by Fengyue here as he flash predicts the flash from Kael. Takes him down with that ulti, but JiaQi here cancels a couple of auto attacks. Doesn't actually have enough space to get out, and the Valkyrie here from Hope could have, you know, kept him alive. I think if he flashes up here, or saves his flash to dodge the Q, it actually gets Tarzan in position in time.
Speaking of Tarzan, he is always in position. 369 cannot escape. There's another kill on the top esports top laner.
For anyone's legend, you know, we're looking at this gold lead slowly but surely start to creep up. Creme in this mid lane has been the linchpin almost for top esports, that focal point that they can look to rally behind, and he's going to need to continue being that here with the rest of his team starting to crumble around him. Obviously Fengyue with a 500 gold lead in support really doesn't matter, he gets these early bundle pipes, but I don't know that that's going to be the big ticket difference that'll make things happen. Arrow into the mid lane though.
Here we go. Ashel right on top of Shanks. Can they actually take advantage? Knockup is there. So is the heal, but Creme will close the deal. Now we're looking for stuns. There's an equalizer on top as well. NaiYou shows up as Creme's desperately trying to escape. They're trying to get out. Kael's ultimate. He takes so much damage and he'll finally fall. Creme's Emperor's Divide shoves 2 away, but top esports don't have enough damage to finish this off. Creme slides in aggressively, flashes over the wall. The burn will take him out. It's a double kill for Flandre.
But that's a big fight for top esports in the mid lane here, using that enchanted crystal arrow to take down the Orianna. Now a TP behind. JiaQi, run away!
Oh, JiaQi has no idea. He's up 2-4 on a mid lane. It's been his kryptonite all year long. Another for Flandre.
Oh, great spellbook TP from Kael there, punting JiaQi back underneath the turret, and unless you're panning around the map, those are really difficult to try and find, but overall, I mean, that probably neutralizes the play here, and you can see the amount of turret platings that Hope was able to get. He didn't move over, wasn't particularly a part of that fight. He's able to take down this first turret all to himself. It was traded for a couple of plates on the top side for 369, but not nearly the same amount of gold as this Corki will get, as Hope now going to go back to base. He's already finished off his Trinity Force, going to have some boots in his back pocket, maybe a Caulfields as well to work towards that Muramana, and I mean, this Corki is absolutely off to the races here. If they can't shut down Hope, this is going to be a really tricky game for top.
And not just Hope, but Flandre as well. He's now 5-1. He's got, you know, around the same amount of gold lead. This is going to be so difficult for top esports to try and fight at this stage of the game. These early carries are carry.
And that's what they're going to need to continue to do here. Push this gold lead. Let's continue finding dragons. We've got 1 spawning in 1 minute and 5. Odds are that they're not going to get the most amazing soul, with both Hextech and Infernal being off the board, as we get this lovely cinematic across the map of Orianna getting absolutely domed by an enchanted crystal arrow. Got to flash those a little bit earlier, I am afraid, if you're going to try and look to survive those, but despite the fact that Shanks falls, this fight's still barely favourable for anyone's legend here. Flandre comes in and just does so much work. Really like the heads-up positioning from Creme here. Even though he's under threat, he's consistently looking to DPS, make sure that Kael falls. He even scoots back in to try and pick up Tarzan. And then flashes one of the harpoons here, but doesn't quite have what it takes to dodge the final one. Flandre snipes him on the way out and can't quite make it a favourable trade as NaiYou takes away a blue buff, and anyone's legend need to continue this snowball.
Doing a good job of it so far. If top esports can weather the storm, Creme will be in a good position to do what Azir does in the late game. We're seeing 369 teleport to the top side. No Valkyrie available for Hope, but 369 doesn't actually have an ultimate to really chase him down. We're getting some good damage in. Is 369 going to just end up diving this turret? He'll stand right outside. He'll scream. Big decimating smash goes down. 369 says, I want to get more out of this. He'll just get the barrier.
Yeah, barrier used. Enchanted Crystal Arrow is up here for JiaQi, as the observers know as well that they're going to look for something underneath the turret.
He's going to rip it.
Yeah, I hope new. Really good heads up. I think if JiaQi's a little bit faster there, maybe they can look to pick him out, but he's sort of waiting, seeing where the Corki's going to look to recall, but if you rip that one off spawn there, I think you're going to get a better chance. It's a little bit slow on that play. Nevertheless, Hope goes back to base, finishes up a Mana Mune, not yet Mana, but still feels really good, as this Herald will be the prize for 369's sort of vengeance sought out on that top side.
We're expending Creme's teleport to get into this fight. We're
50-50
punting the
though.
Braum out as well. And top esports will be able to secure this Herald. Now, will we see a fight afterward? AL taking the aggressive position, that inside track right now. They could just head to the Dragon if they want.
Yeah, and that's probably going to be their prize here, as Flandre, you can see, slightly worried that, well, top esports, they're not showing on the map. They are not looking to contest here, as JiaQi, looking for this fight onto Hope.
Oof.
Not quite got the moves nor the side steps, and does end up taking a boatload of damage there under the turret.
Tough start for JiaQi, but again, if he can be useful with these Enchanted Crystal Arrows, if he can provide the slows necessary to keep NaiYou, 369, and Creme on top of AL, it's not doomed yet. Creme is going to get really all of the gold.
Going into Creme, and you're quite right, it's not completely over. AL need to start this snowball now. Creme has got a Rift Herald here if he can get to it.
All right, there's that Emperor's Divide. He'll slide away. And yeah, your turret ain't going to save you there, buddy. It's going to be another kill for Flandre, number 7 on the game. And NaiYou says, hey, this play isn't over yet. And AL says, you're absolutely right. We are willing to fight. Shockwave lands on the NaiYou, and he can't even kill Kael.
Yeah, a couple of, again, really big blunders from top esports. If I'm Creme there, I know that I've got the... Oh, JiaQi, hold on!
Forward, didn't even need the arrow. It's just style points, and now he's looking at Tarzan here, but he's right up in his mitt. Barrier gonna get used. Tarzan getting a shield of his own, but he can't win the 1v1, but Shanks will pick up the pieces.
And this is what JiaQi has done so well for this split, for his ability to get caught out in the mid lane. He makes up for it in his teamfight mechanics and what he's able to do in these small skirmishes. Manages to find a 1v2 double kill there without any help from his team.
It's the one time where when JiaQi dies on mid lane, it's actually okay. Really well played by him. Get an infusion of gold, desperately try to claw his way back in. Roodood, 17.5 minutes. AL are the ones with these early dragons. How we feeling about top esports right now?
I'm still a little bit concerned. They have got a good amount of deficit to try to foreclose, but we take a look at this replay, and JiaQi here, a couple of bad clicks as he steps into Tarzan, but he did this without his ulti as well. He fired the ulti into Narnia, really. If he'd have had that, that wouldn't have even been close. He doesn't quite finish off his second item, which he would have loved to do, but moves his way through this mid-game with a couple of extra kills to get himself back in contention. And that gold lead that was about 2k for Hope a little bit earlier on, now just down to 1,300.
And luckily, don't really need the item for the moment, at least you'd think, but remember, it is the LPL. We'll fight over a ham sandwich, and we'll fight over the chickens as well. Ultimate coming out from Xinjiao as we're going to have Tarzan punt away 2 members, and now JiaQi finds himself quick alien in a 3v1, up against the wall, knocked up by the Alistar, and knocked down by Hope.
And that's, again, just what I'm a little bit concerned about, right? That ultimately, there have been things that have plagued top esports and their ability to stay consistent. They can sometimes show really bright points, they can at their best contend with BLG, but can they see this through a best-of-3 series, and can they even see it through a Game 1 where they've got a lot of pieces that could do well, but they're just consistently floundering around these positions on the map that they really shouldn't be?
Problem brewing here for Top Esports. In 2 minutes, this third dragon's going to come up. Now, they're already down 2 dragons. AL's, again, that gold lead is back up to 2,000 for Hope, 2,500 for Flandre. There is a real world where AL are going to cruise to a soul, and you're not going to have the time for Creme to be this big monster in the late game.
Yeah, it is a Cloud Soul here, which, I mean, if you're looking at it for an Alistair, feels really good. The rest of anyone's Legend, it is just a good amount of capability to fire your ultis and move a little bit quicker. What I'll call out is the slow resist that it gives you, especially versus an Ashe, does mean that approach velocity, the capability with her passive to chase you down, does reduce significantly. And if we're looking at JiaQi being one of these big points in the late game, that Cloud Soul going to do a lot of work when preventing that. There's now a teleport bot side.
The arrow does not quite land, but 369 will flash after Flandre. Kael is coming in as well, but so is the rest of AL. Keeper's Verdict is going to knock out Creme. JiaQi doing what he can to just get as much damage onto Tarzan as he can, but they're able to walk out without much of a problem.
Yeah, if that arrow hits, then maybe we can see the Rumble falling, but they are losing their tier 1 turret on top side. They committed teleporting from their mid laner to make this happen. And you think about what anyone's Legend lost for that. Well, a little bit of time for Flandre to farm on a relative scale. That's absolutely fine, and they'll be more than willing to concede that. Looking at how well they're able to push their way through this mid-game, anyone's Legend are in a really good spot with 30-40 seconds now on that next dragon, putting them to soul point. You'd like to think that it's going to be a relatively simple closeout. Take this dragon, focus your attention up towards that top side. We can look for the Baron afterwards. And from there, start to really lay waste to this game number 1.
As long as AL doesn't put themselves in some poor positions, they should be okay. And we'll be anticipating that Top Esports should pass up on this dragon and wait to the last one, and that's where they will go and make their stand. We do see a lot of pings coming down on this bottom side, though, so perhaps Top Esports, much like many LPL teams, do not want to give this one up without a fight.
And they've just hit a couple of good breakpoints. JiaQi has got that Phantom Dancer. You've got 2 items on Creme as well. Ulti available for 369 in just a couple of seconds here. Otherwise, we are looking across the board at pretty much everything being available outside of that flash for 369. Channels a Q here in the brush, not quite going to be able to find anything. The dragon started.
Okay, knocked up against the wall is NaiYou. Now it's Kael getting to the back line. Big double knock up as well, with the equalizer splitting everybody up. And they're really going after JiaQi and NaiYou now. Tarzan and Flandre leading the way, Crescent Guard, and the turret could be there, but a shockwave by Shanks will squelch any attempt at a comeback. A triple kill for the Orianna, and Fengyue can't escape either. That is an ace for anyone's Legend.
And that should be game 1 signed for anyone's Legend. Shanks with a massive shockwave turns the fight fully into their favor. It looked a little bit dicey to begin with, Yanni, but they were able to see it through. And that man in the mid lane for anyone's Legend truly held up his end of the bargain. This engage to start off with, okay, we enchanted Crystal Arrow the Alistair. We land nothing onto these crucial targets, and Kael's able to find a double knockup onto the 2 crucial members of Top Esports. Keeper's Verdict punts away some of their front line, and then actually anyone's Legend get a little bit split. Actually, JiaQi gets a chance to start free firing here, but Shanks puts the ball on the Rumble, moves it into the center of 4 people, lines them all up, and dissonances down another. An incredible team fight for the anyone's Legend mid laner, and one that he will not be forgetting anytime soon.
You mentioned Creme getting split up in that fight. It's something that we've seen happen a lot so far for Top Esports this season. He just does not end up in the same place as everyone else. It was a difficult fight for him to try to navigate, but he is the strongest member of the team, and not having him there almost guaranteed death for Top Esports. During that replay, AL picked up the Baron. They're going to go ahead and pick up the dragon and put themselves on soul point.
On this Baron here, you'd like to see them As anyone's legend start taking out these tier 2 turrets, maybe begin to apply some pressure onto the tier 3 gold lead at the minute. 7,000 gold, you'd like to think by the end of this Baron they take all of the platings on those inner turrets, and maybe a little bit more as well, as starting to worm their way into this bot side jungle, start to choke out top esports and make them feel like their days in game number 1 are numbered.
They certainly are, Roodood. Let's see if they can hold the line. They're going to go right after Creme. Shanks over the wall, waiting to make a play as Kael is going to be taken out and will fall. Big double knockup is there. Shanks forced to flash away as now they're looking at Flandre, but Flandre's got that flame spinner on, drops the equalizer down, and top esports has to run for the hills. 369 will fall. It's a 4v4 as NaiYou and Tarzan are going to go at it. A little bit of help from 369. 3v3 down on the bot side as NaiYou wins the 1v1 and is now looking for the big flank. Shanks is going to be the target. Shockwave on top of himself, just trying to get away. And top esports will still look for more on the slow on Hope, but JiaQi's up too far and no one can help. NaiYou and Creme getting low as Fengyue dies, and it's a 3v2 flipped on its head. Creme, half HP. NaiYou flashing after Shanks, desperately trying for something, anything. The Emperor's Divide whiffs, and it's another ace for AL.
And top esports consistently see these angles, but they're just not able to see them through. A massive fight in the bot side should open up the base and maybe just open up game number 1.
AL now making good work of that Baron, knocking down these turrets as you mentioned. Gold overflowing from their pockets, Roodood. A 9,500 gold lead as all of the carries have everything they could ever want.
Yeah, and it's not going to get much easier for top esports here as that gold lead, as you've mentioned, continues to balloon up to a large quantity that really isn't looking too good for top esports. That Infinity Edge very close to being finished for Hope as well, and on that break point, probably just thinking that the team fights aren't anywhere near possible. We're nowhere near an Infinity Edge for JiaQi. He might like to be able to finish off a 3rd item before the game ends, but I just don't think he's got it in him. Same to be said for Creme as well.
All right, we're teleporting 369 in. We have to go here. This is what we want. Enchanted Crystal Arrow will not land on anybody. Keeper's Verdict lying in wait, knocks away NaiYou. This could be the turnaround for AL if they want it. It looks like they will walk out as Flandre makes his way up.
Yeah, he's going for a deep flank as well. Going to look to go through that Raptor pit and line up an equalizer through the jungle maybe, but he's just a little bit slow, and this topside fight has still continued.
They're disconnected here. Tarzan goes in, and the rest of AL will knock out a couple of members of top esports.
Gonna look for a 3rd here as Kael looks to get the punt back. 369. He's a tanky guy, but unfortunately anyone's legend are far too fed, and Flandre just 1v2ing on the backside.
Oh my goodness. NaiYou, get out of there. NaiYou. Crescent Guard will try to keep him alive, but he will fall. AL claim another ace. Didn't even need Shanks for the back end of that one.
Yeah,
and if it wasn't over before, it's definitely over.
Minion wave in that bot side. No Baron to buff up these minions, but you can see that Hope doesn't particularly need one. Some Sheen procs, and he is good to go. So it's going to fall in the bot lane. It looks like that's about all the damage that anyone's legend are going to look to put out this time around. Maybe need to start working on where their waves are for when they win all of these fights. But you can see good engage from Tarzan as Creme a little bit too far forward here. Good shockwave link up between Shanks and Tarzan. A classic duo there for the shockwave pairing, and Flandre just decides, actually, JiaQi, you can't step up to me like that. Lands one harpoon and knows that that's enough.
Yep. That Zonius as well just made it all too easy. Again, another situation where top esports, Creme specifically, was split out. I mean, you know, it's kind of hard because this game is very much JiaQi. Okay. We'll be able to flash over the wall, but it's just a very difficult game for top esports to try to play out after Hope gets many of those kills and Flandre gets that triple kill in the mid lane. That's when you knew it was kind of the beginning of the end.
So we need to see now the random team fight that top esports have no right to win. They need to win it, right? Like, it could happen, as you say, around that Baron as Creme takes 600, 700 HP from one big one, and Maybe a Baron throw here for anyone's legend, and Top Esports can hope that that will make them work, but with a Drake spawning in 11 seconds as well, it's just not on the cards.
That is how Top Esports won Game 2 against BLG. BLG threw at the Baron. It was a 2v5 hero play, but hero plays are not coming out from Creme in this one as he gets burned away by the equalizer. And now it's a heated up Flandre looking for the tankiest members of Top Esports as NaiYou falls on the other side, 5v3.
And Tarzan can just charge his way into the base here. He's got Kael as well, ready in the wings. Fengyue just taking poke after poke after poke. He's just about able to limp his way out to safety. Inhibitor falls, Dissonance takes down another.
Now the turrets are under siege. 369 drops his ultimate out. Kael coming in from behind the loop around play. And mercifully, anyone's legend will end this game.
It's going to take them a little bit longer, maybe Kael tanking up the turret, but game number 1 goes their way, and with the composition that needed to exceed early on, a couple of early game kills, a couple of really solid ganks as well, they were able to do it, able to push the envelope and make sure that they take game 1 really convincingly.
Yeah, it was a rough game for JiaQi down in the bottom lane, Roodood. I mean, you know, dying in the 2v2, dying in a 1v1, dying in a 1v2. It just continues to happen to this guy, and you know, this is a guy that we've seen flashes at times. Be like, hey, this guy could be pretty good, but if he continues to do this, he's not going to have success in Group Ascend, and Top Esports is not going to have success.
Yeah, there are, like you say, flashes of brilliance, really good spots from JiaQi mechanically, but it feels like that step up into this top level, he sort of succeeded a little bit last year where he was on a really failing roster and he looked like the brightest point. Now he's on a roster that has got a lot of bright spots around him, and he seems to be the piece that can sometimes be dragging them down. Not the best of showings for him, unfortunately, in game number 1, but obviously got plenty more, still got a second and maybe even a third game in them to try and turn around that narrative.
Really? Always true, always true. Maybe they can get to that third game. You know, again, things were not ideal for the side of Top Esports. Again, they had, they lost that first game against BLG. They were down in that second game, but that's where they were able to kind of turn things around. So, you know, game one, they don't care. They're like, you know what? It's whatever. We can lose it. We got 2 more for a reason. We play best of 3s for a reason. So, AL over on that side. I mean, it just felt like it was Kael making all these plays, setting things up early, Hope getting things done in those 1v1s. So who's taking away player of the game honors?
You know, I'm still okay with Hope taking it on the Corki. I think he did a lot of good damage. I think he was finding those plays early on, and those damage stats don't look like they're dissuading me all that much, but maybe Flandre able to take a 11-2 performance home, puts a good amount in his back pocket as well. I think there'll be a good split of the votes here.
Highest KP 11-2, and that was 15, I think? That's ridiculous. I actually can't remember the last time I saw a Rumble with such an impressive stat line like that. That is the kind of stat line you see in solo queue.
It is, and it's typically from an absolutely stomping top laner, and you know, it didn't really feel like 369 was getting dookied on. It just so happened that Flandre was consistently able to outplay in certain instances and turn fights back around in the others.
It was a numbers game, really. I mean, 369 in the straight up 1v1 was performing, but then everybody was able to start showing up on the side of AL. It kind of shows the difference in, you know, the jungle, mid lane, and bot lane and how they played, right? You know, NaiYou had that great early first play, but after that, it felt like Tarzan said, all right, that's fine. I'll start making my plays now. We saw Shanks roam, have great teleports, great map movements. We didn't see that sort of thing in a Creme.
No, we didn't. You're quite right. And, you know, when you're playing both of these control mages, you'd probably put Azir as a little bit of a higher playmaker when we're looking for those side lane plays. So, you know, it's not quite the step up from Creme like we saw versus BLG, but I mean, this little fight down on the bot side as well, really representative of some of the problems that Top Esports have, where, yes, there's an angle there, but what you need is the Unbreakable to be able to stand in front of Hope, and you honestly just can't look for that play if you don't have it. And then here's a little bit of desync as well, as you can see NaiYou looks to go for Shanks. Creme not quite ready to do it, as, you know, shuffling here, missing his ulti, and there are just a couple of instances where not quite on the same page, not quite executing right, and the hands just aren't quite good enough.
Yeah, it's been a recurring issue for top esports, you just have to clean up one of those things at a time. I think the hands could be the easiest thing, but these miscommunications keep occurring. You know, I worry about Creme's positioning a lot, but you know, that bot lane fight that we were just talking about was really the one where it's like that was their opportunity maybe to do something, and JiaQi just goes up farther than he expects the rest of top esports.
Yeah, and you know, you're going to find those things. It's still split one. I won't say it's early on into the season, but these guys have been playing for, you know, a month and a half, maybe 2 months in total. If we think back to, you know, the sort of ends of December, maybe beginnings of December, if you know really know what your roster's going to look like. But you'd like to think that they'd be a little bit more on the same page, and with the amount of time that they've got left in the year, they can still make something happen. Even the amount of time left in this series here, Yanni, they can make a better game too. They've frequently been going down in their series and then turning it back around. I mean, that series versus BLG, no different. We were expecting a BLG win from the rip, but Top turned it back around.
Tarzan going to get your player of the game. I think it is a totally ethical player of the game that puts him up to 6 MVPs. It separates him from Kael, who has 5. They were tied for second. Now Tarzan stands alone in second place. Things not looking good for top esports, but not completely doomed, Roodood. There's still opportunities for them to go and come back and force a game 3. Take a look at the split of player of the game votes. A lot of votes everywhere.
Votes, yeah, from one another. 4 for Tarzan gives him the win there, and I mean, 2 for Flandre I think is good enough. I would have liked to see some of those other ones go his way as well, though.
No love for Shanks, but you know what? That's okay. When everybody plays well, not everybody can grab votes. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna go and take our break, and when we return, we'll get into the draft for Game 2 between AL and Top Esports. Go grab a drink, and we'll see you soon.